She vanished 10 years ago. Now the man who never forgot her searches for the truth. Hello everyone, before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It is quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now let us return to our main character. The rain had been falling for hours the night she vanished, a cold, needling downpour that washed every sound into one long, trembling echo. 10 years ago at 11:58 p.m., Adrian's phone lit up with her name. He remembered the way his breath caught, the way hope flared and died in the span of a heartbeat. Her voice trembled on the other end, soft, broken, as if each word cost her something she couldn't afford to lose. Don't look for me anymore. I'm sorry. Then nothing. No explanation. No second call. Just the hollow static of a line that suddenly turned dead, as if someone had cut the cord between their lives forever. They found her car the next morning, near the old lakeside road, door open, keys still inside, headlights dimmed but not turned off. There were no signs of a struggle, no footprints on the muddy shore, no tire tracks leading away. The police called it voluntary disappearance. Her family refused to talk about it. Her friends said she had always been unpredictable. And Adrian, 24, foolish hopeful, spent weeks tearing through every corner of the town until exhaustion shaped itself into grief, and grief hardened into something colder, something permanent. 10 years passed. He became a millionaire. Built a company, built walls, but he never replaced her. And every night when the world finally grew quiet, he still replayed the sound of that call. Until this morning when his assistant sent a single video frame that made his heart stop. The notification buzzed while he was in a board meeting. One glimpse of the image and everything around him, screens, voices, negotiations, evaporated into silence. A woman stepping off a small-town train platform, a hood pulled low over her head, hands trembling around a beige suitcase. But it was the bracelet that froze him in place, the thin silver piece, with a cracked wooden bead he had carved by hand when they were still college students. It was the only one of its kind. She wore it, and she looked back over her shoulder in the same way Alara always did when she felt watched. Adrian ended the meeting without explanation. By the time anyone realized he was gone, he was already in his car driving away from the glass tower that defined his life and toward the place that had ruined it. The familiar scent of pine hit him before the town came into view. 10 years hadn't changed much. The same sagging roofs, the same rust-stained street signs, the same stretch of road where her car had been found abandoned. The world here moved slowly, as if determined to stay frozen in the moment she disappeared. He parked outside the old train station. Everything looked smaller than he remembered. Weeds grew between the planks and the paint on the metal railings had peeled to dull flakes. A faded poster flapped in the wind. He stood at the platform for a long moment listening. Trains didn't run often anymore, but the faint hum of electricity buzzed through the cracked speakers overhead. He pulled out his phone and replayed the video. Simply seeing it didn't satisfy him. His fingers clenched as he paused on each frame, trying to catch the outline of her face beneath the shadow of her hood. But what intrigued him even more was the blurry figure standing 3 meters behind her, a man in a black coat, shoulders rigid, staring at her with unnerving stillness. The camera glitched exactly when the man's face came into view, a perfect white distortion, as if someone had scrubbed the pixels. Adrian lowered the phone and exhaled sharply. He wasn't imagining this. Someone had been with her, and someone didn't want him to see who it was. He walked inside the station. The air smelled of dust and old tickets. The clerk recognized him instantly. Everyone here recognized him, but said nothing, only nodded with a strange mixture of curiosity and pity. Adrian approached the counter. "Do you remember this woman?" He showed the screenshot. The clerk leaned forward, squinting. "She was here just a few days ago. Looked nervous. Kept checking the clock." The words punched through him. "So she really was here," Adrian murmured. The clerk hesitated. "She wasn't alone, I think. There was someone else behind her." Adrian's stomach tightened, but he kept his voice steady. "Do you know who?" The clerk shook his head. "No." but they left almost at the same time. Adrian walked out of the station with the weight of 10 years pressing against his ribcage. The wind had picked up, carrying the faint smell of rain. He looked around the empty parking lot, then back at the train platform. She was alive. She was close. And she was running from something or someone. As he turned to head back to his car, a flicker of movement caught his eye. A sleek black sedan was parked across the street. The tinted window rolled down just enough for him to see a pair of eyes watching him, cold, familiar, and impossible to mistake. His mother's. She didn't speak. She didn't raise a hand. She only held his gaze for 3 agonizing seconds before the window slid shut and the car pulled away without a sound. The bracelet on the video wasn't the only thing that returned from the past. So did the secrets, and the people who wanted them buried. Adrian tightened his jaw. If Alara was still out there, he would find her. And this time, he wouldn't let anyone take her away again. The town looked exactly as it did in his memories. Quiet, slow, a place that seemed allergic to change. Adrian pushed through the door of the old bar at the corner of Maple Street, the same bar Alara had stepped into on the last night anyone saw her. The stale scent of wood polish and faint citrus cleaner still hung in the air. Ba Diane, the owner, was wiping glasses behind the counter. When she looked up and saw him, her hands froze mid-motion. "Well," she breathed, "I'll be damned." "Adrian Hawthorne." He didn't smile. "I need to ask you something." Her gaze shifted wary, skimming over his sharp suit, the tension in his jaw, the urgency he didn't bother to hide. She set the glass down carefully. "This about the girl Alara," he said. The name tasted like broken glass in memory. Ba Diane sighed deeply and gestured for him to sit, but he remained standing. His restlessness filled the room. 10 years, she murmured. "And you still haven't let this go. Did you expect me to?" He leaned forward. "You told the police she left here alone that night. You were the last person who saw her before she disappeared. I need you to tell me everything." Again. Something changed in her face, tightening, aging in an instant. She wiped her palms on her apron, eyes darting toward the door, as if afraid someone might walk in. "I didn't tell them everything," she admitted quietly. Adrian's pulse hammered. "Why?" "Because I was scared. Because people around here don't like being involved in powerful folks' business." Her voice dropped even lower. "And because someone asked me not to." His breath stilled. "Who?" She shook her head, refusing to name names, then motioned toward the back table. She wasn't alone that night. That's the part I didn't say. The room seemed to tilt. Who was she with? "A woman," Diane said. "Older. Dressed too fancy for this place, silk scarf heels that clicked on the floor like she owned it." She sat with Alara for maybe 20 minutes. Adrian tried to breathe evenly, but something inside him tightened. What did they talk about? I didn't hear much, but... Diane hesitated, bracing herself. Alara was upset, kept saying, "I can't do this. I can't tell him." And the woman told her it was for the best. Adrian closed his eyes. The words struck too close to the bone. "Did the woman say his name?" he asked. "No." But the way Alara kept looking toward the door. Diane's voice softened. "It was you, wasn't it? She didn't want to tell you something." He swallowed hard. "Did Alara seem scared of the woman?" "Not scared," Diane said, "just defeated." A beat of silence passed, thick and painful. "Why didn't you tell the police?" he asked again. Diane reached under the counter and pulled out a small drawer. From inside, she removed a folded scrap of paper yellowed around the edges. "She dropped this," Diane whispered. I picked it up after she left, meant to give it to the police, but the next morning someone came here and told me not to say a word about that woman. And She trailed off, ashamed. "I did what I was told." Adrian unfolded the note. 4 words in Alara's shaky handwriting stared back at him. "Don't tell him." His chest constricted. He forced his voice steady. "Someone threatened you." She nodded. "Not directly, but they made it clear it would be best if I didn't remember certain details." "Who?" he asked sharply. Her lips tightened. "I don't want trouble." Adrian leaned closer, lowering his voice. "I'm not leaving without an answer." Diane looked around the empty bar nervously, then leaned in. A woman came the next morning. She looked important. Expensive clothes, short hair, a cold stare. She said the girl was safe, and that I should keep my mouth shut if I valued my peace. Adrian felt the world tilt again. His mother's face flashed in his mind, her immaculate hair, her composed eyes, her perfected elegance. Was it her? Adrian asked, almost afraid of the answer. Celeste Hawthorne. Diane blinked, startled. I don't know her name, but she looked like someone who wasn't used to being told no. His heart pounded hard enough to shake him. Adrian, Diane said carefully, whatever you're digging up, maybe you should stop. He stared at her. Why? 'Cause she whispered, people with power don't bury things unless those things are dangerous. He folded the note and slipped it into his pocket. Thank you. As he stepped outside, the air had shifted. The sky had turned a heavy gray, threatening rain. Adrian headed toward his car, but stopped abruptly. A black Mercedes was parked along the opposite curb. The tinted window slid down just enough to reveal familiar eyes, cold, controlled, watching him with the kind of silence that carried warnings. His mother's. She didn't speak, didn't gesture, just held his gaze for 3 long seconds, and then the window rolled up and the car eased away without a sound. Adrian's jaw locked. The past wasn't just returning, it was already here watching him. Liam met him at the back entrance of the station, the same heavy binder tucked under his arm. I shouldn't be doing this, he muttered, glancing over his shoulder, but you deserve the truth. Adrian followed him into the archive room, a cold, dust-scented space lined with metal cabinets and neglected boxes. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Liam set the binder on a table and opened it carefully, as if afraid it might crumble at his touch. This is the original physical file on Alara's disappearance, he said, or what's left of it. Adrian stared at the jagged edges where 3 pages had been torn out cleanly, too cleanly. Who had access to this? Officially only the lead investigator and the chief at the time. Liam hesitated. Unofficially, anyone with enough influence to insist on privacy. Adrian didn't need the name spoken. The implication hung between them like smoke. What were on the missing pages, he asked. Liam flipped to the next section. These were the report categories: last confirmed contact, supplemental witness testimony, and record of late-night call. All 3 sections are missing. Adrian felt something cold coil in his stomach. There was a call, yes. At 11:14 p.m., Liam confirmed, the night she disappeared. She called a number registered to Hawthorne Enterprises. His heart clenched. Do you know who picked up? That part was deleted from our system years ago, Liam said. But I remember the original report. I was only a trainee then, but I filed papers for the case. The officer who wrote it mentioned the call was answered by a female family representative. Adrian swallowed hard. My mother? I didn't say that, Liam replied carefully. You didn't have to. Liam shifted uncomfortably and retrieved a small slip of paper lodged inside the binder's back cover. I found this stuck in the folder. It must have been overlooked. Adrian unfolded it. One sentence typed neatly across the center read, The mother requested confidentiality. Not a mother. The mother. His hands tightened on the page. Why would she request confidentiality? Adrian muttered half to himself. What was she trying to hide? Liam walked to another cabinet, rummaged through it, then pulled out a small plastic evidence bag. There's something else. Inside was a printed email confirmation from 10 years ago. This was filed with the supplemental witness statement, Liam said. It shouldn't even be in our local system, but somehow it ended up here. Adrian took the bag and read the timestamp. The sender was the town's crisis response line, which logged citizen reports during emergencies. The subject line read, Second witness request, callback. Claims girl was not alone. The email body, faint with age, captured a single line from the witness. She was arguing with a woman older than her. Couldn't hear what about. Looked serious. Adrian's breath hitched. This isn't the statement in the current file. No, Liam said. The official file says the witness saw her walking alone. Who changed it? Liam didn't respond. He didn't have to. Adrian stepped back, pacing slowly as every thread of memory rewove itself into a new shape. Was there anything else removed? He asked quietly. Yes. Liam opened a drawer behind him and pulled out a recorder. The original audio statement. What? Adrian snapped his head toward him. The one that's supposed to be missing. I made a copy before they threw it out, Liam said, almost defiantly. I was young, but something felt wrong even back then. So I saved it. He pressed play. Static crackled. Then a woman's trembling voice flowed through the speaker. Alara, you cannot tell Adrian. His career, his future, it all depends on this staying quiet. Adrian froze. He knew that voice. His mother. The audio clicked off. The silence afterward felt suffocating. Liam watched him carefully. There's more, he said gently. I don't think your mother was trying to harm her, but she was definitely involved. Adrian exhaled slowly, his pulse pounding in his ears. Involved in what? What could have been so important that she'd rather lose her than tell me? That, Liam said softly, is what you need to find out. Adrian picked up the binder, barely aware of its weight. Every instinct screamed to confront his mother immediately, but something about the broken pieces of this puzzle kept him rooted in place. He turned back to Liam. You said the report mentioned a late-night call. Do you remember what the note said? Anything else? Liam shook his head. Only that the officer wrote Alara sounded distressed, that she was crying, and the call lasted less than a minute. A minute. A call he never knew happened. A conversation someone erased from history. And the investigator Adrian asked, where is he now? Retired. Lives in the next town over. But Adrian, Liam hesitated as if struggling to find the right words. He refused to reopen the case before. He might not cooperate with you either. Adrian's jaw hardened. He will. He stepped toward the door, binder in hand. Adrian, Liam called after him. There's something else. Adrian turned. Liam lowered his voice. Your mother was here earlier today, asking about you. A heavy, suffocating tension settled over the room. She asked what files I had access to, Liam added, and whether anyone had contacted you. She wasn't comfortable when I didn't give her answers. Adrian felt something sharp twist inside him. Not anger, not fear, something deeper. A dawning understanding that whatever happened 10 years ago wasn't an accident or a choice made by a frightened girl alone. Someone else had rewritten the story, and he was done letting them. He walked out of the archive room with one thought burned into him like fire. If Alara had been forced to disappear once, he would not let anyone erase her again. The train platform was quieter than Adrian expected, a thin stretch of concrete beside rusted tracks surrounded by overgrown weeds that swayed in the morning breeze. He stood where the woman in the video had stood, replaying the clip again and again, trying to match the angles, the light, the movement. He could almost feel her presence here, as if the air itself still carried the warmth of her breath. A faint rumble echoed in the distance, an approaching freight train, long and slow. He let the sound settle into him before turning toward the station office. The clerk from the day before was inside sorting a stack of tickets. I need access to your archive, Adrian said. The clerk blinked at him. We don't really keep an archive, sir. Not a proper one. But there are old camera feeds saved on the local server, if they haven't been erased. Adrian's chest tightened. Show me. The man led him to a back room where an ancient computer hummed under a layer of dust. He typed a few commands, the machine groaning as it searched. There, the clerk said, we have 2 angles for that platform, but the second one stopped working years ago. Adrian leaned over the monitor as the video loaded. The feed was grainy, washed in pale yellow tint, but he recognized it instantly. The beige suitcase, the hooded figure, the nervous stance. It was her, but this angle showed something the first one didn't. A tall, older man standing just behind her, her hands tucked into his coat pockets, watching her with unsettling stillness. Adrian's breath caught. Do you know him? The clerk squinted. No, he wasn't a local. But, he tapped the screen. She left something behind that night. I turned it in, but no one ever picked it up. He walked to a drawer and pulled out a small envelope with the date scribbled across the top. Inside was a broken piece of metal, a fragment of a silver bracelet. Adrian felt his throat tighten immediately. He didn't even have to turn it over to know what it was. The wooden bead, hand-carved, cracked down the middle, confirmed it. Alara had been here. She had touched this platform. She had stood exactly in this spot, and something had happened. What else do you remember? Adrian asked. The clerk rubbed his chin. A woman came through that night too. Older, classy looking. Asked about the next outbound train. Said she was waiting for someone. Adrian's pulse stumbled. What did she look like? Sharp suit. Expensive scarf. Confident. A little cold. The clerk shrugged. Honestly, she looked like someone who was used to being obeyed. A hollow feeling spread across Adrian's chest. That description matched his mother far too well, but he forced his voice steady. Did she speak to the girl? Not that. I saw, the clerk replied, but they were close enough. And the girl? She looked over her shoulder several times like she was scared someone might follow her. Adrian stepped away from the screen, the walls closing in around him. Something rattled inside his mind. The fragments from Diane's story, the torn pages from the police file, the line in the witness email about an older woman, the erased call logs. Everything pointed toward the same unsettling direction. Do you know which train she got on? Adrian asked quietly. The clerk shook his head, but I can tell you where she could have gone. He pulled out an old map of the regional line. Only one train left that night. It went to Seabridge, small town by the coast. Not much there except a few inns and one old hotel. Adrian's heart kicked. Do you have any record of passengers? The clerk laughed. This station barely records when the trains arrive, let alone who's on them. Adrian nodded and walked outside, the broken bracelet piece still in his hand. He stood near the edge of the platform, staring down the empty tracks. A gust of wind scattered dry leaves at his feet. He imagined Alara standing here alone, holding that same bracelet, debating whether to disappear entirely from his world. The idea made his chest burn. His phone vibrated. A message from his assistant found something unusual. Mrs. Hawthorne rented a hotel room in Seabridge exactly 10 years ago, under her secretary's name. Adrian stared at the words until the screen dimmed. His mother had been in Seabridge. The same night Alara boarded the train. The same night she vanished. He started walking back to the car, jaw set, but something caught his eye near the edge of the parking lot, a patch of loosened soil. The wind gusted suddenly, blowing away more of the dirt to reveal the corner of a plastic card half buried beneath. Adrian knelt, brushed away the dust, and pulled it free. A hotel room key card. The name printed on it belonged to the same hotel his mother had reserved that night, and on the back, smeared by time and moisture, written in faint ink, I'm sorry, Alara. His fingers tightened around the card. The past wasn't just calling to him now. It was begging to be uncovered, and he was done turning away. Adrian stepped into the Hawthorne estate with the heavy silence of someone preparing for war. The marble floors gleamed like they always had, cold and perfect, untouched by the chaos they had hidden for a decade. His mother sat at the head of the long dining table, crisp white suit posture, straight fingers pressed lightly against a sheet of paper she had set in front of her as if she had been waiting. You need to stop, she said, before he even opened his mouth. He stayed standing. You were in Seabridge the night Alara disappeared. Her eyes flickered just once, but in Adrian's world, his mother's smallest movement was louder than a scream. She slid the paper toward him. A legal document. This is a formal request, she said evenly, for you to desist in disturbing past matters. The company is entering negotiations. Any scandal, real or imagined, could be catastrophic. This isn't about the company, Adrian said, voice cold. This is about Alara. That girl, his mother said sharply, made her choice. No, Adrian shot back, you made it for her. Silence cut through the room like a blade. His younger brother Lucas appeared in the doorway, at that moment stopping short when he sensed the tension. You're still doing this, Lucas muttered, rubbing the back of his neck. 10 years, Adrian. 10. Maybe Alara didn't love you as much as you think. Adrian turned slowly. What did you just say? Lucas's bravado cracked. I didn't mean it like that. I just meant she left. She chose to leave. That's not what Diane said, Adrian countered, or the station clerk, or the missing witness statement, or the torn police report, or the video of her at the train station. Lucas swallowed hard and looked at their mother. The fear in his eyes wasn't for Adrian, it was of her. Adrian noticed it instantly. What is it that you're both hiding? His mother straightened. Some truths, she said quietly, are not meant to be reopened. Adrian took a slow breath, willing himself not to explode. Tell me what happened between you and Alara that night. I wasn't the only one involved, she said. Many people had concerns. Concerns, Adrian repeated. About what? Instead of answering, she nodded to someone behind him. Adrian turned to see Warren Holt, family lawyer for 30 years, step inside the room with the hesitant shuffle of a man caught between loyalty and conscience. Warren, Adrian said. You were there that week. You handled her paperwork. Warren's eyes darted to Celeste Hawthorne as though begging for permission. Tell me the truth, Adrian demanded. Warren exhaled shakily. That night, Alara signed a consent form, a non-disclosure, a voluntary departure notice. Adrian felt cold. She signed something about what? About the lawsuit, Warren said. The environmental case, the settlement. The Adrian slammed his palm on the table. What does that have to do with her? Warren flinched. Her father was involved in the investigation against the company. If the press found out you were dating the daughter of a whistleblower during a lawsuit, it could have destroyed everything. Your mother was trying to protect the company, the family, you. Adrian stared at him, disbelief thick in his throat. You're telling me my mother forced her out of my life to safeguard a corporate scandal? That's not all, Lucas blurted out before their mother could silence him. Alara said she didn't want you to lose everything because of her. She said she'd rather leave than ruin your future. Adrian's heart clenched painfully. She said that. Lucas nodded, expression collapsing into guilt. She was crying when she said it. We all thought she was being dramatic, but you let her go, Adrian said, voice cracking. You let her leave thinking she was saving me. His mother finally spoke, softer than he expected. I did what I thought was best. You were young. You were rising. You had a path ahead of you that she could have destroyed without meaning to. She wasn't a threat, Adrian whispered. She was the only real thing I ever had. Celeste looked down, which for her was the closest thing to an apology. Adrian turned on Warren. You said she signed something. Where is the paperwork? Destroyed, Warren admitted. It was invalid once she disappeared. Adrian felt the ground tilt under him. So everything, your pressure, your silence, the files removed, the witnesses convinced to stay quiet, was all to bury a lawsuit. It was to preserve your future, his mother said firmly. I would do it again. Adrian stared at her as if seeing her for the first time. The woman who raised him, the woman who shaped him, the woman who believed sacrifice was currency and reputation was oxygen. He stepped back. Where is the rest of the truth? He asked. What aren't you telling me? Neither of them answered. His phone vibrated in his pocket. A text from an unknown number. Don't trust her. Alara didn't leave because of the company. She left because of something about you. Attached was a photo. An old, slightly blurred picture of Alara in a hospital gown clutching a medical folder, stamped with a date 10 years ago. And in the corner of the image a handwritten note. He can't know. Not yet. Adrian felt his pulse thunder in his ears. Tell me what this means, he said, holding up the phone. His mother's face drained of color. Lucas took a step back. Warren looked sick, but none of them spoke. A truth existed beyond their lies, a truth Alara had carried alone, a truth even his mother had feared, and whatever it wasn't the lawsuit. It was something about him. Adrian turned away, leaving them in silence. He wasn't done, not even close. The address from the anonymous message led Adrian to a quiet residential street behind the old clinic district where small private practices nestled between aging brick apartments. He stood outside the door marked Dr. Eleanor Hayes, Internal Medicine, feeling a strange pressure in his chest as though the air itself resisted what he was about to learn. He knocked once. The door opened halfway, revealing a woman with silvering hair, pulled into a loose bun, and tired eyes that sharpened the moment she recognized him. Adrian Hawthorne, she murmured. I knew you'd come eventually. He didn't waste time. The photo you sent me, Alara's medical file. I need to know everything. Dr. Hayes stiffened. I didn't send you anything. Then someone used your files to reach me. Her expression flickered, a shadow of fear passing through. She stepped aside. Come in. The office was warm, cluttered with medical books and soft lighting, but Adrian couldn't bring himself to sit. He remained standing, hands clenched as Dr. Hayes closed the blinds and locked the door. You were her doctor, Adrian said quietly. You saw her before she disappeared. Yes, Dr. Hayes admitted. She came to me several times in the months before she left. She trusted me more than anyone else. He swallowed hard. Why? Dr. Hayes exhaled. Because she was terrified. The words struck him like a fist. She didn't tell me any of this. She didn't want you to know, the doctor answered softly. She said if you found out you would throw away your life for her. just like your father once did for your mother." Adrian's throat tightened. She said that Dr. Hayes nodded. She had learned something about her own health, something she believed would destroy your future. Adrian stepped closer. "What health issue?" "I can't disclose her records," Dr. Hayes said, voice trembling with conflict. "Even now." "You can," he said, "because I already know there was a diagnosis." The doctor froze. He watched the fight in her eyes, professional duty versus guilt, fear versus compassion. Finally, the truth broke. She underwent a genetic panel, Dr. Hayes said. A test for a severe hereditary disorder, one that your father carried. A sharp pain cracked through his ribs. "You mean, yes," she whispered, "the same condition that eventually took his life." Adrian's body went cold. He had watched his father deteriorate through stages of pain, fatigue, unpredictability. He knew what living with that illness meant, what dying from it looked like. What were her results, he asked. That Dr. Hayes said is where everything went wrong. She walked to her desk, opened the bottom drawer, and pulled out a small, sealed envelope. She held it like it was poison. The results were delivered to me the next morning, but before I could call Alara, your mother arrived. Adrian felt the ground shift. She demanded the results, Dr. Hayes continued. She insisted she had the right to intervene. She said she needed to protect the family. She took the envelope, told me to forget it ever existed, and left. "And you let her?" Adrian asked, disbelief cutting through his voice. "I tried to stop her," Dr. Hayes said shakily. "But Celeste Hawthorne is not a woman you can argue with. She said she would ruin my practice if I told anyone." Adrian closed his eyes. He could see it too clearly. His mother's cold resolve, her obsession with legacy and reputation. Alara came back that night, the doctor continued. She was crying. She said your mother had already told her what the results were. Adrian opened his eyes. What did my mother tell her? That she was positive, Dr. Hayes whispered. That she carried the gene. That she would likely develop the illness, and that you would throw away your life to take care of her if she stayed. The room spun. That's why she left. He asked, voice barely a breath. Yes, Dr. Hayes said. But, Adrian, that wasn't the truth. He looked at her sharply. What do you mean the results were not positive? They were inconclusive, borderline. The risk existed, yes, but nowhere near what Celeste claimed. Dr. Hayes' voice cracked. If I'd given them to her instead of your mother, she would never have run. Adrian sank into the nearest chair, his hand trembling against his forehead. So she left thinking she was doomed, he said, and thinking she was saving me. Dr. Hayes nodded, tears building in her eyes. She didn't want you to sacrifice yourself the way your father did. She believed she was protecting you. He felt something inside him splinter, a decade of grief, suddenly rewriting itself into a different kind of pain. Why didn't you tell me sooner? He whispered. Because I had no proof, the doctor replied. Until today. She opened the envelope she had kept hidden for 10 years and slid the original test report across the table. Adrian unfolded it with shaking hands. Result indeterminate. Follow-up recommended. Risk moderate, not confirmed. Everything he had believed for a decade shattered silently. Before he could speak, Dr. Hayes reached into a drawer and pulled out a small USB. She left this for you, Dr. Hayes said. She asked me to give it to you only if she never returned. Adrian plugged it into the laptop on the desk. Alara's voice filled the room, soft, shaking, heartbreakingly familiar. Adrian, if you're hearing this, then I did what I had to do. I can't let you live the life your father lived. I can't trap you in mine. Please forgive me. I hope one day you'll understand. The recording ended with a breath that sounded like she was breaking. Adrian stood abruptly, unable to stay in the room any longer. His phone rang before he reached the door. Liam's voice came through, urgent. Adrian, you need to get back here. We recovered an old video from traffic cam archives. It's from the night she disappeared. What does it show? She wasn't forced into the car, Liam said. She got into a taxi, willingly, but she wasn't alone. Adrian froze. Who was with her? He asked. Liam hesitated. We think. It might have been someone from your family. A chill ran through Adrian's blood. Everything was about to unravel, and he wasn't sure he was ready for what came next. The video Liam sent played on a loop in Adrian's mind as he drove toward the Hawthorne coastal villa, one he knew his Aunt Amelia had recently returned to after years abroad. In the restored footage, the taxi door opened, and for a single distorted second, the reflection in the window revealed a woman in the back seat with Alara. Not his mother, not a stranger. Aunt Amelia's pearl hair clip gleamed unmistakably in the dim streetlight. He stood outside her villa now, the waves crashing against the rocks, below the smell of salt thick in the air. When he knocked, the door opened almost instantly. Amelia Hawthorne looked older than he remembered, lines etching her once smooth face, her elegant posture softened by a weight he couldn't name. But when her eyes landed on him, something like resignation washed over her. "You saw the video," she said quietly. "Come in." He stepped inside, the familiar scent of jasmine tea lingering in the hallway. She led him into the sunlit conservatory overlooking the ocean. The sight of such calmness in the middle of his personal storm made his anger sharpen. "You were there," he said, "the night Alara left." Her breath trembled as she sat down. "Yes." "Why?" Adrian demanded. "Why were you with her? Why didn't you tell me?" Amelia looked at him with a sadness that almost disarmed him. "Because I wasn't there to take her away. I was there to help her." He clenched his fists. "Help her disappear." "None," she said firmly. "Help her survive." He stared, baffled. "What does that mean?" Amelia looked toward the ocean before answering. "Alara came to me 3 months before she vanished. She was scared. She didn't want your mother to know she was getting tested. She didn't want you to know either. She confided in me because I was the only one in your family who didn't see her as a threat." Adrian's heart throbbed painfully. "And you kept this from me?" "She begged me." "Adrian," Amelia whispered. "Begged." She was convinced that if you found out about her condition, or even the possibility of it, you would throw away your future to take care of her. She couldn't bear it. Adrian felt his breath falter. "So you took her to the station that night, huh?" Amelia shook her head. "I met her there because she called me crying after Celeste confronted her. She said your mother told her the test was positive. She blamed herself for ruining everything." Adrian's jaw tightened. "My mother lied." "Yes," Amelia said softly. "Your mother wanted her gone. She thought she was protecting you, but she didn't understand the harm she was doing." A long silence stretched between them before Amelia continued. "When I arrived at the station, Alara was already packed. She already had the ticket. She was determined to leave. I tried to convince her otherwise, but she wouldn't listen," Adrian finished quietly. "No," Amelia said, "because she loved you more fiercely than she loved herself." He sank into the chair opposite her, his whole body trembling with the weight of it. "She got into the taxi. With me," Amelia continued. "But I didn't go with her on the train. I only rode with her to the outskirts. She wanted to leave alone. She said she didn't deserve to be in your life if her presence meant repeating your father's fate." A lump formed in his throat. "You could have told me, Amelia. You could have stopped this." "Could I?" she asked softly. "Would you have believed me 10 years ago? You were so young, so blinded by love and ambition. I thought telling you would only make you resent your mother and chase Alara harder, exactly what she didn't want." He closed his eyes, the guilt of 10 lost years pressed against him like iron. "What was she running from?" he asked. "Really?" Amelia hesitated, then stood and walked toward a locked drawer in a side cabinet. She returned with a thin file, sliding it across the table. "This is everything I saved from her visits. Notes, appointment cards, one letter she wrote the night before she left." Adrian's hands shook as he opened it. On top was a folded sheet of stationery with Alara's handwriting. "Adrian deserves a life untouched by fear. I won't let our love chain him to the same tragedy his family has already lived through. If the worst happens, at least he will remember me as someone who loved him enough to leave. But if I'm lucky, if life gives me time, I'll find my way back to him." His vision blurred. "She never wanted a permanent goodbye," Amelia said gently. "She wanted time. Time to get better. Time to be someone who wouldn't burden you." Adrian pressed the letter to his chest, trying to steady his breath. "What about Lucas?" he asked suddenly. "Why was his name on her medical bills?" Amelia sighed. "Lucas found out about the tests by accident. He confronted her. He thought she was playing you. But when she broke down, he realized the truth and quietly helped her with the appointments. He told me later he regretted not saying anything. The puzzle pieces fell into place with brutal clarity. His mother created the lie. Alara believed it. Lucas tried to do the right thing too late. And Amelia Amelia tried to help, but not enough to prevent the loss. Adrian wiped his face with the back of his hand. And now she's out there again, calling me, warning me. Amelia's eyes widened. She contacted you. He nodded. Then something is wrong, Amelia whispered. Very wrong. Alara would never reach out unless she had no other choice. Just then, Adrian's phone buzzed on the table. One message, no name. Don't trust their version of that night. There's one more truth left. Come alone. An address followed an old coastal motel on the edge of Seabridge. Adrian stood. I'm going to her. Amelia didn't try to stop him. She only whispered, be gentle with her, Adrian. She has carried more pain than you know. He walked toward the door, the file still in his hand, the wind outside rising like an omen. This time he would not let her face anything alone. Not ever again. Lucas opened the door before Adrian could knock a second time, as if he had been standing there for hours, waiting for the moment to arrive. His eyes were bloodshot, his hair disheveled, and the tension around his shoulders made him look far younger and far more frightened than the polished public persona he usually wore. Don't look for her anymore, Lucas whispered, voice hoarse. Let me take the blame. Let me be the one who ruined everything. Adrian pushed past him into the apartment. What did you do, Lucas? Lucas shut the door gently, like he was afraid noise alone might shatter them. You're going to hate me. I'm already halfway there, Adrian said. Lucas winced. I didn't take her away. I didn't force her. But I knew. I knew everything before you did. Adrian turned slowly. Before I did what? Before you knew she was sick. Before you knew she was scared. Before she left. Lucas pressed the heels of his palms to his eyes. I thought she was lying to you. Using you. I accused her of being manipulative. And then she broke down in front of me. Adrian's stomach knotted. Broke down how Lucas's voice cracked. She told me she thought she had the same illness Dad had. She said she couldn't stay with you if it meant you'd relive that nightmare. She begged me not to tell you, because she knew you'd sacrifice everything for her. Adrian swallowed hard, pain shooting down his chest. And instead of telling me you helped her disappear, I tried to help her stay strong, Lucas said helplessly. I took her to appointments, paid for tests anonymously. I thought if she got a clear answer she'd stay, but she never got the answer. She got terrified instead. Adrian's hands curled into fists. What happened the night she left? Lucas went still. She called me, he said softly. Not you, me. The betrayal stung deeper than anything else had. She said your mother had confronted her, said the test was positive, said she would ruin your life if she stayed. She was sobbing. She asked me to drive her to the station. Adrian stared. So you were the person she trusted the most that night. Not me. Lucas didn't try to deny it. You were the one she loved the most. That's exactly why she didn't call you. She knew you'd never let her go. Adrian closed his eyes. And you let her. She begged me, Lucas said quietly. She said she needed to protect you from herself. Silence drowned the room until Adrian finally forced himself to speak. Who was in the taxi? With her, Lucas exhaled shakily. Aunt Amelia. I called her when I realized I couldn't handle this alone. She met us at the station because Alara wanted someone older with her, someone who wasn't part of the fight between you and Mom. The puzzle pieces shifted painfully into alignment. You didn't get on the train with her, Adrian said. No, Lucas murmured. Alara wouldn't let me. Why? Lucas walked to a drawer, opened it, and returned with a small cracked phone. The old one Adrian had gotten Alara years ago. She left this with me. She said if she ever changed her mind, if she lived long enough, I could use it to contact you. He placed the phone in Adrian's palm. Cold. Dead. A relic of a girl who had loved him so much she'd broken herself apart to save him. There's something else, Lucas whispered. He unlocked the phone and opened a message thread labeled Drafts. At the top was a single unsent message written the night she vanished. I'm sorry, Adrian. I can't let you watch me fade the way you watched your father. I'm scared, but I love you too much to stay. Adrian's vision blurred. She wasn't running from me, he said, voice trembling. She was running from what she thought would happen to me. Lucas nodded miserably. She said she'd rather die alone than let you give up your life for someone who might not survive. And the truth, Adrian demanded. Did she have the illness no one knew? Lucas said. Your mother took the results before she could hear them from Dr. Hayes. Alara spent the entire night believing she was dying, and believing that staying with you would destroy you. Anguish tore through Adrian raw and sharp. She carried that fear alone, he whispered. For 10 years. Lucas didn't speak. There was nothing left to defend. And you still haven't told me everything, Adrian said, straightening. Lucas hesitated, then went to the drawer again. This time he pulled out a folded yellowed train ticket. Round trip, Lucas said quietly. She bought a round trip ticket. She planned to come back if the treatment worked, if she survived. Adrian stared at the ticket like it was a living thing. She was coming back to me, he breathed. Lucas nodded. She wanted to. She just never got the chance. Before Adrian could respond, his phone vibrated, a call from a blocked number. He answered immediately. The voice on the other end was thin, raw, shredded by years of silence, but unmistakable. Adrian. His heart stopped. Alara, he whispered. Don't trust their version of that night, she said, breath trembling. They don't know the whole truth. I'm not running anymore, but I can't let you come near me. Not yet. Alara, where are you? He pleaded. The line crackled. Please, she whispered, don't come. And then the call ended. Adrian lowered the phone slowly. Lucas stood, frozen eyes wide. She's alive, Adrian said, voice filled with fire and heartbreak and absolute resolve. And she's still protecting me. Lucas whispered, what are you going to do? Adrian looked toward the window, toward the coastline, toward the unknown distance where Alara's voice had vanished. Find her, he said. This time, before she disappears again. Adrian followed the location from the call, an old coastal motel perched at the edge of Seabridge, its neon sign flickering weakly against the wind. The ocean crashed below the cliffs, swallowing sound and spitting it back out in broken echoes. Room 12 was at the far end, the door slightly ajar, as if someone had entered too weak to close it properly. He pushed it open. Alara stood near the window, her silhouette thin against the gray morning light. A hood covered part of her face, and her hands trembled as she gripped the windowsill. When she turned, the world seemed to stop. It was her, older, paler, fragile in ways he had never imagined, but unmistakably her. Her breath hitched. You came. He crossed the room before she could pull away, but he didn't touch her, not yet. I've been looking for you for 10 years, he said softly. You didn't think one phone call would keep me away. Her eyes shone with tears she kept wiping away, as if she had no right to cry. You shouldn't be here. I told you not to come. Then you knew I would. Alara's throat tightened. She turned her face away, but he stepped closer, gently tilting her chin up. Why did you run from me? He whispered. Tell me the truth, all of it. Her lips trembled. Because I thought I was dying. He didn't move, didn't breathe. I thought, if I carried your father's illness, you'd give up everything to stay with me. I saw what he went through. What your mother went through, I can never make you relive that. Alara. And then your mother told me the test was positive. She told me I would destroy your life, that the company would suffer, that you'd lose everything. Her voice cracked, and I believed her. Pain carved itself across Adrian's chest. The test wasn't positive, he said. It wasn't even conclusive. She closed her eyes, tears sliding freely now. I didn't know. She never let me see the results. She lied to both of us, he said. But you didn't come back even after all that. Why? Alara held her arms around herself as if bracing against a storm. Because I didn't get better, not right away. I had complications from the treatment. I spent years going from doctor to doctor hoping I'd live long enough to return. But every time I thought I could, something else went wrong. I was scared that if I came back only to fall sick again, I'd shatter you. Adrian shook his head slowly. You think staying away hurt me less? You think disappearing saved me? His voice cracked. You were my life, Alara. Losing you almost destroyed me. She looked up at him, eyes wide with aching remorse. I thought I was protecting you. But you weren't, he said softly. You were hurting us both. Her knees buckled and Adrian caught her before she fell. His arm wrapped around her instinctively, and for the first time in 10 years, her body melted into his as if it had been waiting for this exact moment. You don't understand, she whispered against his shoulder. I still don't know if I'm sick. I still don't know if I'll ever be healthy. Then we find out together, he said. We fight it together, but I'm not losing you again. She pulled back just enough to search his face. And what if I don't make it? Brushed a strand of hair from her cheek. Then I'll have lived whatever time we get, and that will be enough. The raw honesty in his voice broke something fragile inside her. Her tears came harder, her sobs catching against his chest as he held her tightly, grounding her, promising her silently that she would never face another day alone. When she finally calmed, he touched her cheek gently. You're coming with me. No more motels, no more running. We're getting the tests done again with real doctors, not fear and lies. She nodded, though fear lingered in her gaze. I'm scared. I know, he murmured. But I'm here now. That's not going to change. He wrapped his jacket around her shoulders and guided her out of the room, one careful step at a time, as though helping her walk back into her own life. Outside, the wind was cold, but she leaned into him as if drawing warmth she thought she had lost forever. The oceans roared relentless and fierce, yet somehow his presence softened it. At the car door she paused. Adrian, thank you for not giving up on me. He smiled for the first time in what felt like years. I never will. They drove away from the motel, from the ruins of a decade of silence, and toward a future neither of them fully understood, but one they would finally face together. Later, as they watched the coastline vanish behind them, Alara whispered, Do you think we get a second chance? Adrian took her hand. We're living it right now, and for the first time in a decade, the world felt less like a wound and more like a promise. If you've been following their story, maybe you're feeling something too, a reminder that love can survive distance, fear even 10 years of silence. Before you go, share your thoughts in the comments. Would you wait a decade for someone you love? What part of their journey moved you most? If this story touched you, hit like so more people can discover it, and subscribe to stay with us for the next emotional journey. Your support helps bring more stories like this to life, and we'd be honored to have you here for every chapter ahead.